Hello, welcome back to the interface. My name's Alex and today we're looking at the Subaru Outback Field. This is one of the 3 trim levels that Subaru offers. They offer a limited entry-level model, this Field model, which is more of an off-roady sort of spec model, and then the top of the line one is the Touring. That comes with a lot of optional extras, it's a lot more expensive as well. So in the UK, the Outback range starts from just under £37,000, and this Field model starts from just under £41,000. This quite nice green paint colour you see here is called Autumn Green Metallic, and it's £595 as an optional extra. All of the Outback models come with the same 2.5 litre petrol, 4-cylinder Boxer engine, and that is paired with a CVT 8-speed gearbox. In terms of performance, that 2.5 litre engine gives you 167 brake horsepower. It isn't turbocharged at all. 0 to 62 takes 10.2 seconds, and then there's 120 mile/hour top speed. So around the front, the Outback looks quite rugged. We've got this nice green colour here. The Subaru badge is quite large, got the nice grille here. And then moving down, we've got LED headlights as standard on all the Outback models, and we've got some headlight washers there as well. Down here we've got some fog lights, and there's a lot of plastic cladding all around the car, even on the wheel arch extensions as well. Just give it that more off-road feel. And the whole design is sort of geared for sort of off-roading. So we've got some larger departure angles at the back of the car, which we'll get to later. But overall, it's quite a rugged design. We've got these plastic roof bars on the top with some green accenting, and then the wheels as well are quite chunky. So this Outback Field model comes standard with a black colour pack, which is only available on the Field, sort of the mid-spec model. And that gives you things like black accenting all around the car, and then you also get black door mirrors as well. And then the limited model, sort of the trim level down from this model, has body colour door mirrors, and then the Touring model, the top of the line model, has chrome door mirrors. But let's have a look around the whole car and see what we think. So around the side of the Subaru Outback, we've got quite a nice chunky design. This Field model has quite nice green accenting everywhere, so on the roof bars here, the Outback logo down here is all sort of tailored towards sort of a chunky off-road experience. And Subaru models have always been sort of tailored to more rugged experiences. We've got a lot of plastic here, so plastic cladding to sort of protect all the bodywork here. So when you're off-roading, there's bits of protection down here. And then for the alloy wheels, all Outback models come with 18-inch alloy wheels as standard. This one has dark metallic 18-inch alloy wheels. You do get dark grey metallic wheels on the Touring model as well. And then for tyres, this one has Bridgestone tyres, and this one is 225 60R18. So let's have a look at the rear of the Subaru Outback. And jumping in, a little bit of a lip to get into from the rear doors. So if you've got trouble with mobility, it can be a little bit difficult. So we've got these synthetic leather seats. The top of the range Tourer model does have Nappa leather seats. But these seats are very waterproof and very sort of wiped down material, which is really good. Lots and lots of space back here. It's one of the things I first noticed with this car is there's a lot of space. So I've got a lot of room underneath the driver's seat for my feet, go back all the way under there, and a lot of headroom here. So I'm 5'7", and I've got a good amount of headroom here. Good amount, actually. It's really good. And there's ISOFIX connectors for the rear 2 seats here. So we pull up this bit of leather here, and we can see there's 2 ISOFIX connectors there. Tucks in the seat, which isn't a massive issue. And then actually it's a little bit difficult to get back in there actually. I can see people just leaving that open if they've got kids. It's a little bit tricky, but there we go. And then the rear headrests go up with one click, which is really good. And then something quite interesting that I noticed was the middle seat. The seat belt is coming from the ceiling. So if I jump into the middle seat here, and we'll also have a look at the middle seat. So due to it being 4-wheel drive, there's a big transmission hump in the middle of the floor here. Does impede on sort of my legroom quite a bit actually, but it's not too bad. Could be worse. So the seat belt for the middle seat is sort of locked in place with a bit of metal, and it comes from the ceiling, which I guess is to make things a bit more secure. And then it belts up this side here, so it's not too bad. And then for the rear connectivity and the rear comforts, we've got 2-stage heated seats in the back. So some buttons down here for the heated seats. Then we've got this horrible little plastic cover for the USB ports. I think Subaru could have done a much better job of that. Either the flaps sort of swing left or right, or not have any flaps at all, but I understand why they've got them, because this is a more rugged vehicle and you've got kids and all sorts of things like dogs and things at the back of the car. So I can see why they've got a protective flap. Could be done a little bit better than that, but just a 2-handed job to plug in a USB cable, so it's not too bad. Got some rear air vents here, so one other side, and then that's sort of in the center console there. Got one-touch windows all the way down for the rear seats as well, and then we've got some map pockets in the driver's seat and the passenger seat as well. What's quite good is there's a zip either side of the seats, so you can take off the seat covers and machine wash them if you need to. I can imagine things getting quite dirty in this sort of vehicle, especially if you're doing what Subaru intended to be used for, sort of off-roading and farm use. Again, being the Field model, we've got that nice yellowy green accenting everywhere. So it was on the roof bars, it was on the side as well. We've got it in the stitching here, got it on the stitching on the door. We've got some nice soft materials here, some soft materials there. It's really well made, and being a Subaru, it's going to last a long time. and some of the materials used are really good quality. Just a fact, the shame sort of this plastic thing for the USB cover, but it's not too bad. And then in the door pockets, we've got a bottle holder or a cup holder, so I'd imagine that will fit a bottle. And then speaking of cups, we've got a middle cup holder shelf, so sort of an armrest cup holder. That feels really solid. They've got two little cup holders in there. They're angled slightly forward, but I'm sure some cups will be all right in there. The cup holders in the front seats are much deeper and much better in my opinion. But they'll be all right. I think that's really solid. Some cars, this middle armrest it feels a little bit flimsy sometimes, but that's really good quality. And you can close it with your arm like that. All good. So look in the back of the Subaru Outback, we've got quite a chunky design here. We've got Outback branding there and quite embossed lettering. A tow hitch down there as well. Got the Subaru Outback branding all in black as well. We've got quite a tinted rear window here. Got quite a chunky rear spoiler here, and you can see all the roof bars as well. This tailgate is electrically operated. You can do it from the key fob, or you can do it from a button here. So I press the button, tailgate opens, and that reveals the 561 litres of boot space with the seats folded up. We've got quite a nice tornado cover here, so we just pull that towards us and then put it under there, and that keeps everything from being on display. There's also a 12-volt socket here, so you can charge stuff in the back if you need to. And then with the rear seats folded down, we do get 1,822 litres of boot space, and we can fold the rear seats down by pulling two levers here. So we pull this lever here, that middle seat folds down, and we put another lever here, and that other one folds down as well, which is really, really good. And that's a flat floor as well, and that reveals the 1,822 litres of boot space. So on the boot floor here, we've got a plastic load cover, keeps everything sort of protected and waterproof, and we can lift that up, and that reveals our sort of false floor here. So we can lift that up, and there's some more storage underneath there. So we've got a lot of cubby holes in there and the tyre inflation kit. And there's also a separate pocket down here. That's for the jack and the tow eye, which is really good. There's a lot of storage space under there. So we've got a netting other side here. So yeah, pretty good use of space. So every Outback model comes with rear parking sensors, and this model has a rear reversing camera as well. So if we close the boot, there's a little camera just in there, and you can see, so when you got the car in reverse, it will show you the view behind you. So what's the Subaru Outback like to drive? Well, most Japanese cars now, for the automatic gearbox option, they use a CVT gearbox. Now that's very different to a DSG gearbox that you commonly find in VW Audi group products. So you have two clutches working together. A CVT gearbox is typically more gruff and more of a rough experience. So I'll demo it in a second, but when you floor the car, it revs very high and then settles down to changing gear. So when you floor it, the car does rev very high, and it's sort of quite intrusive and a lot of noise and not much is happening. Bit of a jarring experience if you're not quite used to it, but it's a common gearbox used in Japanese cars, and they are very reliable as well. Now for the steering's very light and it's almost detached from what's going on the road. When you're using the car on road, it's very floaty and there's not much communication being brought from the wheels to the actual steering wheel. But the steering wheel is very comfortable to use. It's leather wrapped. It's not any smooth leather. The spec up from this, the Touring, has a nice smooth leather steering wheel. This has just got just a leather steering wheel with stitching and some texturing on there. But overall, the steering's quite good. And when using it on rougher tracks, you don't feel much. It's quite a benefit that you don't feel much coming from the steering wheel, because it can be quite disruptive to what you're driving. So in the Outback, we've got a 2.5 litre petrol engine with a permanent all-wheel drive system, and we've got 167 brake horsepower, and 0 to 60 takes 10.2 seconds. So it isn't really one of the fastest cars ever, but it could do with a bit more performance, especially as we've got that permanent all-wheel drive system as well. So just looking at the interior of the Subaru Outback, just looking at the driving position first, these seats are really, really comfortable. It's got this synthetic leather material. On the spec up from this one, we do get Napa leather, so full leather. But these seats are really good. They feel really durable, very soft and comfortable, and on longer journeys they're really good as well. So we've got electrically adjustable seats, so you can go forward, back, up and down, and then getting a good comfortable driving position is really easy. So we've got some metal pedals down here, got a little footrest to the left hand side, and then for the steering wheel we've got rake and reach adjustment, so we can pull the steering wheel towards us. It is a little bit biased to go up all the time, so if you want to adjust it, you just have to hold it with one hand and then clip it back in. So for the gearbox in the Outback, we've got a 8-speed CVT gearbox. So this gear stick feels very solid to use. It's very reassuring to clunk it into the gear every time you use it. And then we've got a manual selector as well, so we can knock it over to one side once you're down the drive. And then you can use the paddles to adjust the gears if you need to. And then the handbrake on this car is electronic, so no manual handbrake down here. And there's a little button just there for that. And then for the climate control, we're just going to turn the ignition on. So we just click the start button once and we agree. And then we've got the climate control system is pretty much all on the screen. So there are some little buttons here for the climate control, so you can reduce the temperature, but everything is controlled on the touchscreen down the bottom there. So if I just turn the engine on, we'll get some details about the air conditioning system. So we've got temperature on this side, air conditioning, we've got the fan speed. We've also got the temperature here, so we can sync up the temperature for each side. We've got heated mirrors, heated rear window, and then the heated front windscreen as well. And then for the infotainment screen itself, we've got 11.6-inch screen. It's in portrait mode, and it's called Subaru Starlink, which is quite interesting. We've got sort of a star-like background, and the infotainment screen is pretty good. We have got a dedicated video on the interface channel, link is in the description, or the top right hand corner, going over everything you need to know about this infotainment screen. But it's got Apple CarPlay, it's not wireless at all, it is wired, and you have to use the USB-A ports down here, which can be a little bit of a cumbersome place to get to plug stuff in. And then also you have the problem is, where do you run the cable? Do you plug it back in there, or do you plug it into the cup holder? It's a bit, this area is not really well thought out, but apart from that, it's not too bad. Got built-in sat-nav screen, works pretty well. You've got car information, you've got DAB, you can stream music from Bluetooth as well. So all in all, this system isn't too bad. I've definitely seen worse, I've definitely seen better as well. And then down here we've got 2 cup holders. So these are very deep cup holders. These definitely do fit a large Costa takeaway cup. So really, really good that they've got big cup holders in the Subaru Outback. And then looking up here, we've got some controls. We've got some light controls here. So you can click the little lights on and off. We've got selector for the door and whether the light's open with the door open. 2 little microphones. And then we've got a sunglasses holder, which is lined with a bit of plasticky rubber type material. That's pretty nice as well. And we've got some sun visors. So these do feel a little bit flimsy. They're covered in quite a nice soft material. We've got a vanity mirror here with quite a very bright light here. And then, yeah, that's the same on either side. And then we've got grab handles all around as well. And then for the in-car storage, we've got a bottle holder down here, bit of storage down there, same on the other side. Got a little shelf here, which is quite useful. And then the glove box, sort of a felt-lined interior. There's a massive manual for the car, bit of paper there. And then we've got a huge amount of paperwork that comes with the Subaru Outback, but apart from that, there's a good amount of space in there, pretty useful. And then for the driver's display, we've got 2 traditional dials, a speedometer and a tachometer. And we've got a very small portrait screen, which shows you a lot of information about the driver's alert system, what doors are open, what settings are sort of set, the trip computer, and also one feature I like is the fact that it shows you a visual representation of what lights are on the car, indicators or the brake lights. You know if the brake lights are on. That's more of a useful feature for EVs, so you know when the regen system's kicking in, but good feature nonetheless. And then round the back we mentioned there was a rear view camera. So all we have to do is knock the car into reverse, then we get a rear view camera feed with lines to show you sort of what parking space you're in, and then also we get access to the parking sensor on and off, so we can turn those on or turn those off if we need to. One thing with the climate control system I'm not too keen on is the reliance on the touchscreen for controlling certain things. So in the rear seats, we've got heated seats and they're just buttons behind the center console. However, in the front of the Subaru Outback, they're on the touchscreen. So you've got to click on the button down here, opens up a menu, and then you can click on the heated seats there. A little bit cumbersome, one click too many, but it is what it is. So down here, we've got some controls for the car. So we can fold in the mirrors manually, sort of adjust the mirrors themselves, lock and unlock the car. Got child lock for all the windows in the back. All of the windows are all one touch down and one touch up, which is really good. And then down here we can open and release the tailgate from here, which is useful if you're doing click and collect at Tesco. And then we've got the parking sensors at the back. We can turn those off as well. On the steering wheel itself, we've got a button for the heated steering wheel, which is nice on those crisp winter mornings. And then we've got the controls here for the cruise control. So we have got radar guided cruise control on this particular car. We've got the automatic lights, automatic wipers, the media controls down here. But all in all, it's pretty ergonomic and it's pretty easy to use as well. And then all Outback models have the EyeSight version 4, and that includes adaptive cruise control, emergency lane keep assist, traffic side recognition, and much more. The whole list of those features are on the screen right now. And it's really good Subaru's included all of those features with every version of the Outback. And the last thing I want to get to is the driver monitoring systems. This bank here has a little camera, well, a kind of an infrared system, I guess, but it's called the driver monitoring system, and it does a few things. It makes sure that you've got your eyes on the road. So I noticed if I was looking down here for any reason or talking to the person in the passenger seat, the system would tell me keep your eyes on the road and just make sure that I'm paying attention to what's going on. It also has got some features for driver preferences, so you can add quite a lot of drivers on here. I'll put exactly how many that is on the screen, but what it'll do is give you preferences and settings related to the air conditioning, the multi-function display here, instrument cluster, and it also checks your fatigue, and it will have preferences related to the seat as well, which is really good. So in terms of comfort, Subaru have done a very good job of making sure it absorbs a lot of bumps. I've noticed on potholes and running over drain covers, A lot of other cars, it would sort of, you'd feel it a lot in the chassis and you'd feel it a lot through the steering wheel. I guess because the Subaru is tailored towards off-road driving, the whole comfort of the car is really well suited and the whole chassis is very comfortable as well. In terms of noise, most of the noise I'm picking up is from the engine. So when you tickle the throttle a little bit, you just get that high revving CVT noise, which isn't the most amazing thing in the world. But in terms of wind noise, a little bit of wind noise over the roof bars there and a little bit around the mirrors, but it's very minimal really. So with the Outback, Subaru quote 33 miles per gallon, and over the last 143 miles, I've been getting 31.9 mpg. At one point, I did see 46 mpg on the display, but it's round about what Subaru claim it is, around 33 mpg. So if you're after fuel economy or a motorway machine, this probably isn't the car for you. This is more of a countryside car, so farm tracks, bad roads, potholes, that sort of thing. Isn't really suited to doing a lot of road use. And then really that CVT gearbox doesn't lend itself best to a lot of road use, I would say, or a lot of motor use. It's more tailored towards countryside use really. So I'm just going to pull over here and demo some of the driver modes. So I'm just going to pull over to this quite badly maintained little lay-by here. And we've got a few things on the screen called X mode. So if we pop into here, we've got normal mode. We've also got snow and dirt and deep snow and mud. So these are more the off-road modes, and you can only change these once the car is stationary. So we're going to look at the snow and dirt, and these will probably just adjust the traction control system and make sure everything's performing as it needs to be. So it's going to pull away in the dirt mode, and we can instantly tell, wow, yeah, the steering's got a lot lighter, and the throttle response is a lot quicker as well. It's popped us back in normal mode now. We've been put it back in dirt mode. I guess it knows that the car's not on that environment. Put it in deep snow and mud as well. No, you need to be stationary to change the modes. So, but that dirt mode, it was a lot more responsive and a lot more willing to give a bit more power. So you can see that the X mode's been disabled now. Oh, it's probably below a certain speed actually. So we put it in dirt mode again. It's probably below 25 mile an hour. Oh no, it's not happy with that. Okay, but obviously this car is really tailored towards a lot of off-road use. So it handles badly maintained roads pretty well. So we pop it in snow and dirt again. There we go. I think it's below 15 mile an hour. Yeah, it revs a lot higher in that dirt mode, which is quite interesting. So put it back in normal mode now. So in terms of handling, the Outback handles pretty well. It might be considered sort of a cross between an SUV and a estate car. It's more of a high-riding estate car really than anything else. And the fact that it hasn't got such a massive amount of slab-sidedness on the sides, it does handle better for it, so it's pretty good on that front. But really the steering's light, we've got road wheels on this car, and the handling's pretty decent on this car really. Got back lanes here to get a good idea. Even at some higher speeds it does handle pretty well. I'm actually quite impressed with what Subaru have done here really. So let's go see what it does in mud mode now. It's got a little bit of mud in front of me. It's gonna see what happens. I think the traction control gets disabled or something changes on there, but I've got a bit more. It does rev a lot lower as well once that's enabled, which is quite interesting as well. So it tends to give us less revs, which encourages less slip, most likely. So I'm just going to talk about a few things on the Outback I'm not particularly happy with. So a lot of automatic cars and EVs now have auto hold. This car does have auto hold, but for some weird reason, that auto hold button is buried within a menu, and every time you get in this car, every time you restart the car, auto hold gets disabled, which is such a weird decision. I can understand doing it for some of the safety systems like lane assist or something like that, but auto hold, I'm not really sure why the case is with that. So to turn the auto hold back on, all you need to do is go to settings, and then you go to the car settings on up the top there, and then you scroll down, and then you can see we have the AVH, the auto vehicle hold. We then get a green icon in the driver's display here, and then that tells you that the auto hold is turned back on. But as I mentioned, that's bizarre that that's a feature that is always turning itself off every time you get back in the car. But anyway, so as I mentioned in the interior shot, we've got a driver monitoring system on this car. So this little panel here has got some infrared sensors and some little sensors here and things. And that will tell you if you haven't been looking at the road that much. So I noticed it as I was playing around with the infotainment system the other day. It said, just reminded me to keep my eyes on the road. If you're the type of person that gets distracted quite easily, I can see that being quite useful or being quite annoying if not. We've got a whole heap of safety systems, and there's a whole list that's on screen just now. So Subaru have done a very good job of packing this car full of tech, and when you go through the configurator, there isn't many options really in terms of the things that come on the car, which should make buying a used one of these pretty easy as well. And so you're not going to be too confused what this car hasn't come with or will come with based on what the previous person has paid for. Now across the Outback lineup, everything is pretty well equipped, so there's not much that the base model doesn't come without. Now on the top spec touring model, you get little creature comforts. You get Nappa leather all round, you get nice smooth leather steering wheel, you get a sunroof as well in the car, and you get a few little bits and pieces. But really on every model in the Outback lineup, Subaru really hasn't skimped on what they're going to offer you, which is really good. One of my other things I'm not too sure about on this car is the fact that we haven't got wireless CarPlay. Now, the fact that this hasn't been refreshed in a little while might be down to that reason. So this car was launched in 2021, hasn't really changed since then. So hopefully with a refreshed Outback and refreshed Subaru models, this Subaru Starlink system is what it's called, will have wireless CarPlay at some point, because the rest of the market is leaning towards that. Now in conclusion, what do I think about the Subaru Outback Field? Well, this is the middle spec trim level that Subaru offers for the Outback, and it's priced just over £40,000. Now is it worth it? Well, some of the interior materials and some of the interior fit and finish, sort of what they've used, is all really rugged, but it doesn't to me scream £40,000. However, in terms of the whole package and what Subaru offers and its four-wheel drive and off-roading prowess, that is probably where a lot of the cost has gone. But overall, I'm impressed with what Subaru has done with the Outback. We've got that high riding driving position, which a lot of people crave nowadays, and we've got the practicality of it being an estate car as well. But what do you think about the Subaru Outback Field? Let me know down in the comments. If you like this sort of content, don't forget to subscribe to the interface and like this video to let others know that you enjoyed this content. For more information on our website, visit theinterface.uk. Now I hope you enjoyed this video. My name's Alex, and we'll see you again next time.